occurs when someone else can provide the same service for less cost. We can't match it. The key is not losing those positions. So it took us a while to privatize trash and recycling because the city saved $1.2 million by privatizing it, an additional $500,000 through what's called the Kelly Act. That's picking up the trash and recycling for condos and apartments. The key point was, as positions were vacated in other public works positions, while we were considering privatization of trash and recycling, those vacancies were held open. So when we privatized on August 1st, not a single one of the 29 people working for trash or recycling lost their jobs. They were transferred into positions that were already open. The best of both worlds, lower cost, no loss of jobs. When we talk to the county can demolish buildings cheaper than us because they own the landfill. They don't pay a fee for tipping when they put the building there. That's why the county does our demolitions. We don't pay for it as taxpayers. CRDA pays for that. When we talk about senior Meals on Wheels, senior transportation and health, as the county took over that, there's only one individual that was not interested in staying with us in a vacancy or going with the county. Everyone else kept their jobs. I'm not for privatization unless it actually saves money. In the way we did it here in Atlantic City, you didn't lose the jobs and you were able to save money for the taxpayers. You got both things doing well. We do have 400 fewer employees working for the city than 4 years ago, but that is across the board, half of that being police and fire. Thank you.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You're talking about a man trying to explain to you how privatization works for us. Privatization means private taking public's money. I'm fortunate enough to stand before you and have gotten endorsed by the building trades. I'm also fortunate enough to stand before you and tell you that we fought, along with my 3 other colleagues, not to privatize any of our jobs. Most of the people who got privatized were African Americans who worked and lived in Atlantic City. That's a problem. This man is trying to sit here and tell you that privatization works, when in fact, if you privatize and you're telling us you're saving money, why did you keep all the employees? What is the point? You can't have it both ways. Either you're privatizing to save money, or you're privatizing to put money in your friends' pockets. And for the last 3-4 years of this administration, we've seen nothing but privatization of parking. What municipality in their right mind gives up a revenue stream that's your parking? When in fact, we're supposed to be broke. When in fact, Don Guardian told us that he was going to create a parking authority to bring revenue in. And how did that morph into giving his buddy a contract to own parking? Again, we're not here to have people misinformed. We've had too much of that. The truth of the matter is Atlantic City deserves much better. And on November the 7th, when you vote Frank Gilliam for mayor, you're going to get better.
Coming back.
Next question, we'll start with Hank. Due to the threats to police jobs, there are many in the city who feel that the city is less safe, and there are also those in the city who have antagonistic relationships with police officers, particularly people of color and poor people. What will you do as mayor to make sure that the city is safe, and also to make sure that we are practicing community policing?
I think just that. I think we need community policing. I think our police officers if they live in the city, that will help us with our tax base and our regulables. I think that is something that I would like to do. Maybe some of the other police, the older police, we can grandfather them in. But any new employees, police officers, firemen, that I think that they should be Atlantic City residents, and for several reasons. I think that they become a part of the community. Their revenue is spent here, their families live here, they treat people better because they're their neighbors. They might look at somebody different because of now the relationship is different from maybe how it used to be and not living next to a person. When you see them, you might talk to them different. I think there's important roles that the police and the firemen can play within the community, whether it's the PAL or just being in the neighborhood, being someone that can deter crime by people understanding and knowing that he's there. Maybe him or her would like to participate in the community in many other different ways that shed a light to the community in the way that they look at him, in the way that they respect him, and a lot of the things that they won't do as when we were kids, when we would meet teachers that lived in the neighborhood and things like that. We would respect their property and look at them a little bit different. And I think it's vice versa. I think it's going to help the police, and I think it'll help our taxes and our regulables also. Thank you.
Don?
So first of all, it is a state law that police, fire, and for that matter, attorneys that work for a city do not have to live in the city that they work for. It's not a municipality, it's a state law. It was established back in the 60s. There's nothing more important than law enforcement. When I became mayor, everyone said the casinos should be paying more for law enforcement. So I went to them, and they are now funding 45 police officers, Class 2 officers through CRDA to patrol the tourism district, along with 6 senior officers and a lieutenant. That's part of the tourism district police force that they're paying for, part of the Atlantic City Police Department that allows 45 seasoned, experienced officers to be working in the residential neighborhoods. This is the best police chief we have had, Henry White, in a very, very long time. He is bringing up the standards of this police department. He has reduced by 80% the number of internal affairs complaints that have been made in just 3 years. He has reduced violent crime by 20%. He has brought in risk terrain monitoring, a whole new concept of how you deal with policing, not picking on a person or a neighborhood, but rather picking on where crime actually occurs and reassigning patrols so that they are trying to prevent crime. It is working with the community. It is PAL, it is the cookouts, it is the movies during the summer that the PAL and the community policing do. It is our coffee with a cop and our pizza with a cop. It is the police officers that you see here at every recreation building that the city operates during the year. And it is the programs that the police try to do to work with the community. The community and the police department working together will give us the public safety that we need. Thank you.
The question is that there are some people who feel less safe because of the threats to police jobs, and there are other people in the community who have antagonistic relationships with police officers. What will you do as mayor to make sure that people feel safe and also that we're practicing community policing?
First and foremost, anybody in their right mind knows that safety is important. So naturally, we have to support public safety. But we must be realistic and honest with ourselves. There is a fundamental disconnect with the police and African American communities. It's a fact. But the fact of the matter is that that doesn't have to remain that way. It's your leader who dictates how any department is supposed to act and treat their community. What about community policing? In my lifetime, I've never seen a rookie come on the force, get a car, ride around, and not ever know anybody in their community. They don't have to live here to get out the car and treat people with dignity and respect. And I'm not saying that every policeman on the force don't. But we've had some issues with our police and the community. And let's be real about that. at the end of the day, when I'm your mayor, police will basically be on the street because that's what they're paid for. You can't tell me that we're safer when you can walk up and down Atlantic Avenue and see vagrants begging seniors every time they come out their door. You cannot tell me we're safer because you talk about extra cops in the tourism district. What about the north side, where the community is? And I don't have a problem with police. But because I understand the importance of making sure everybody does their job because they're getting paid to do a job, and you're going to do your job when I am the mayor.
Well, one of the reasons the state is in here is because of all those very, very high salaries that the top brass are receiving. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Well, what was that question? I get along with the police up to now. Atlantic Avenue and Tennessee Avenue is a mess it's in, and nothing's really being enforced, right? So, I was an inspector and I enforced everything that moved. You know what I mean? If it was even a bicycle, get off the ball right here. You know what I mean? And they went off. I see 25 bikes ride right past all them class 2s, no matter who they are. Right? And those class 2s should be in our neighborhood. I'm tired of this tourism district stuff. That was a theft of government services, wasn't it? When my brother John was a timekeeper at Public Works, there were 400 Atlantic City residents working there. They're down to 8. They're trying to do the same thing to the fire guys too, right? Get rid of our fire guys. This mayor should be saying, repeal the Recovery Act. CRETA should pay for the 700 parcels of land. We should file a federal lawsuit in federal court against this takeover. They can't overrule an elected official. But this officials don't do anything. They just roll over. Okay, they don't do anything. I would fire all the solicitors in the solicitor's office immediately, and I would get resumes from people who want to do the right thing. Investigate bankruptcy, file a federal lawsuit against the takeover, and file a lawsuit against the state for violating the Sunshine Law, Padula versus Dean, NYJ 1977. Get the state out of here.
This question is for everybody, but Mayor Garden, we'll start with you. Everyone talks about making the city safe and reducing crime, but there is no city-run reentry program to help reduce recidivism, the recidivism rate, which would help reduce crime. Why is that, and what would you do to change that?
So whoever provided the question is not aware that the city does indeed have a reentry program. It's being run by the VOA, the Volunteers of America, as they are doing the same program in both Camden and Trenton. On a personal note, Governor McGreevey had met with me my first year. 5 or 6 local residents came up with me. We traveled to Jersey City several times. I believe that that program, Governor McGreevey's program, is much more successful because I saw how it operated. They started with substance abuse prevention in jail during the 90 days. When they got out of jail, they already had a Section 8 voucher. There was only 2 people re-entering at any given house, not a large halfway house. And then they had jobs. The program here that VOA is running is not quite as sophisticated, but it is providing housing, vouchers, it is providing health care, and it is providing a food stamp program, and it's helping provide jobs for people coming out of jail. 80% or more of all of the crime committed in Atlantic City is committed by the same people. We can't put people in jail and 90 days later throw them out on the streets when you know they're going to have to need money for food, for clothing, for housing and things. Re-entry has to be part of our vocabulary. The only way that we can address safer streets is by being able to provide for the substance abuse problems of individuals that are incarcerated and providing the skills that they need and a job when they come out of prison. VOA is the program that's here right now. We need to support it and make sure the state continues to fund that here in Atlantic City. Thank you.
Mr. Gilman, the same question to you, please. And the question again is, everyone talks about making the city safe and reducing crime. The question was, but there is not a city-run reentry program to help reduce the recidivism rate, which would help reduce crime. Why is that, and what would you do? So you can.
It's very important for people to understand and know. As a legislator, I can put forth legislation to help support those entities, which I have. However, when I am the mayor, we can do more because I can actually effectuate programs to do more for the recidivism rate of Atlantic City. Frank Gilliam created the legislation of Ban the Box, which was one of the first in New Jersey to take the box off of our applications and ask people if they were ever incarcerated. Frank Gilliam was the one who actually went out and visited VOA the first year that I was elected, because I understood and know what the community needs, not a Republican that's not from Atlantic City that really don't care if we go to jail or not. The fact of the matter is, VOA is of a small portion of what needs to be done. It has to be grassroots entities that we basically lock our arms with to allow them to talk to the people, opposed to us sit on our ivory tower and tell people what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be, why they should be going to jail. And more importantly, it is myself along with Connect the Dots every year that does expungement programs. Every year that basically ends up having folks put their life back on track, like last February, allowing 360 people's warrants to be lifted and their fines adjusted. These are the things that we understand that needs to be done because we live it. These are our friends, our families. So it's important for us to have people in office that understands every aspect of the community, and best believe it, this is my motto, everything is recyclable. Nothing is trash. And we can't treat our residents that come home like trash and throw them away because they are someone and we love them.
I want to talk about crime, right? There's a lot of crime going on. Yeah, well, I could go back to the 60s and tell you a lot about that, all right? The mayor at the First Ward Council Civic Association said that crime is just a perception here in Atlantic City. It's just perceived. You're dreaming. It's not happening, right? Just the last week, a kidnapping, torture, blowtorch in somebody's foot, fish hook in his mouth, dragging him around the room in his panties, whatever, right? There's crime everywhere, right? It's not being stopped. Back in the 60s, if you were standing on the corner, you had to move. Now you can stand all over every public building, lay up against everybody's business and everything. Nobody tells you to move. You gotta clean these streets up. I wanted to talk about the administration because it's such a failure. They're not enforcing anything. Any department's not enforcing it. The inspectors aren't really enforcing it. You give them a summons. You give everybody a ticket for what they're doing wrong. Take them into municipal court, and the judge will give them a fine, you know, And if it's 2 or 3 times, then you really slam them. But they don't enforce anything. None of them. Now, directors are supposed to be running the city, supposed to have moved in. I wanted to point out that council are only legislators, but they keep talking like they're the directors. They don't know what they're doing. They're merely legislators. They're supposed to write the rules and the laws. They don't even do that, unless it's to say happy birthday to Angela or something. I mean, what resolutions do they pass? Everything that's meaningless.
I'm kind of shocked, and I'm taken back, and I'm surprised that Volunteers of America was the only place, and that's just started, that we didn't have any reentry programs. That's crazy in our community that there's no dialogue even about that anyone in a position of power can help some of these other organizations. I've heard of other small organizations that have tried some reentry programs, but I'm quite sure with the culture of the city and the way that we help each other, that they didn't get the help that they needed to try a reentry program. We have to change that up. That's crazy, that's mind-boggling. All these billions of dollars flowing to Wall Street, flowing for tax breaks for the casino, flowing for everyone but everyone in this city, and yet we don't even have a reentry program. We just getting one, and we don't even know what they're doing, and if they're doing a lot or a little bit of anything like that. It's not only reentry programs, there's mentoring programs for children. There's senior programs for seniors. Most people don't know about the programs that are going on in the city right now because we have no communication among us. We can't even communicate for someone to take advantage of a program that's out there that's going on right now. Most people don't know how to get it. How do we get it? We don't have a radio station. We don't have a TV station. We don't even have Snell. We don't have anything to communicate and tell people and let them know what's going on in the city. Now, me, myself, I plan on putting bulletin boards around the city where people, in each part of the city, where people can see the pertinent numbers that they need for help, for whatever they need, for job training, these types of things. We have to find a way to be able to communicate so people can take advantage of these resources that are here and know that if we're missing something, like a reentry center, then that's what the community can talk about and build on. And we have to try to help build that ourselves. We can't sit around and wait for people who are already stealing our money blind, and then the people who are supposed to represent us don't advocate for us at all, never. Look around our community right now. What's really going on and what benefits do we get out of it? Not much. Think about it. Why keep voting the same way?
Just before we move into closing summation, I'm going to give each candidate 60 seconds to fact check, to respond to something that one or more of their fellow candidates have said. And we'll start with Frank.
I would have you fact check everything that Don Guardian has told you on this stage. He told you that he did the basketball courts. He did not do that. He told you that he started the resurrection of the boardwalk. He did not do that. He told you that he brought development here through Stockton. He did not do that. The line goes on and on and on. And that's why on November the 7th, you're going to vote for someone with accountability and some leadership that you can depend on. Because we can't keep being lied to just to appease someone's satisfaction of that they want a seat. I want the seat because I love my community. I love my people from the 6th Ward to the 1st. And we're going to continue to fight whether you like it or not, because that's why you elect us, to tell you the truth.
I was going to say some of the minor points that other people have made or not we're talking about, but I have to address what Frank said. The reason that I can take credit for this college is because I met with the president and convinced him to come to Atlantic City. When they got balled down into the showboat, it was me who brought the owners of Caesars, Trump, Taj, Revel, and the college together for more than 20 hours over 3 days to come up with a solution how we were able to keep the college here. When we talk about the boardwalk or anything else, Everybody else that was here for 8 or 12 years could have done that, but they didn't. During my administration, we found a way to get federal money, match it up with other monies. That's how we got these projects going. Direct involvement that I was part of, and that is fact-checked.
Again, my name is Henry Hank Green, column D, Green Party. The fact check that I have is that Mayor Guardian said that he's gotten rid of 400 people in the city of Atlantic City, but he didn't state that he hired 400 people also. So if you check the records and check the statistics from the time that he's taken office and count the number of people that he's hired in the city of Atlantic City after he's been in office, you count them up, add them up for yourself. I guarantee they're over 400 people. So he's gotten rid of a bunch of other people, but as you can tell, you go through City Hall, you see a bunch of other people that I've never seen before. I go in there all the time now, and it's like a ghost town. I know no one there. There's a bunch of other people from other places, and I have no clue what that's all about. But if we think about it, you know what I mean, we're disappearing. Look at who they're privatizing. They're privatizing recreation. They're privatizing public works. Look who's in those divisions. It's not a mistake. You know what I mean? I'm not pouring no type of cards anyway. These are facts. These are facts. When the state came in here, they were worried about the police officers because of their excessive money that they make, and that's who they were focused on, but instead they gave us up. Thank you.
Paid my tax. Said he reduced it year after year after year. He didn't reduce it. He colluded with the state, and then he says, well, the state raised the taxes. Well, nobody lowered them, right? You never lowered them. Did he ever lower your taxes? No. Well, I'll tell you this, if I'm elected mayor, I'm not going to raise taxes on myself. Okay? Plus, I don't like these state people being in here. They were in here for 5 years with the Guardian administration, and all they did was hold back your pension money from going into your pension fund and held back your health benefit money from going to the state. And the state's more bankrupt than the city. Is it not? And they want to just refurbish the Capitol building. Just pay off our debt. You came in state, you took over our city, you assumed the city, assumed the debt. Pay it off and get out. Give us our home rule and our leadership and sovereignty back.
Keep the mic. We thank everyone for coming out. We will now head into 2-minute summations. You have 2 minutes to give your final summation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're up against the press, too, you know. The press. The one that ran a picture and a story of every single candidate in entire South Jersey. And guess who wasn't there? No picture of Joseph Palillo. You know why? Because they're scared to death of me. Because I'll do what I say I'm going to do. Right? They'd have to